Hello, my name is David Duffy. I'm a retired physician. I'm sharing with you some healing thoughts. This is our presentation number 19. Today we're talking about viral illnesses, viral infections. In France in the 1800s, Louis Pasteur discovered that bacteria causes infections. In 1884, a Frenchman invented a filter which was so small that it would filter out bacteria. And in 1892, there was a Russian biologist who discovered that the infection that causes tobacco mosaic virus syndrome that would contaminate the tobacco plant passed through that filter. So it was a small particle, and eventually they discovered that the cause of that infection and other infections like rabies were viruses. Virus is 1/100th the size of a bacteria. It's very small. Viruses can live in bacteria. I would call virus a genetic parasite. It's a particle that has a protein coating capsule, and inside there's genetic material. Some viruses have DNA as the genetic material. And when you have an infection with the DNA virus, it attaches to a surface receptor on a cell, and the cell absorbs the virus, and the DNA virus will go to the nucleus and have the equipment for making genes and proteins go to work and make the virus. If it is a RNA virus, in your body, DNA creates a gene. The DNA is transferred into a RNA messenger virus, and the RNA messenger virus programs the manufacture of the protein. And so a virus could be an RNA virus, and that would replicate viruses in the cytoplasm of the cell. The virus is sort of like a home invasion. The virus goes inside your cell and commands it to make viruses. Excuse me. Now, when a virus replicates, it will grow and grow and grow until the point that it bursts. It causes the host cell to burst, and then the viruses spread out. The other way it can spread is that individual viruses can go out of the host cell like it came in. It goes to the membrane, and the membrane pushes it out, and then it spreads. Sometimes it even goes from one cell to another through the walls. Okay. Now, today we're going to talk about as an example, the common cold. The common cold is caused by a very, very small virus called the rhinovirus. Rhino is the Latin for nose, or maybe it's Greek, I don't know. And so the cold is caused by the rhinovirus, and the rhinovirus is 30 nanometers, and a nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. So it's very, very small. And that is an RNA virus. So a person has a cold, they're coughing and sneezing. The virus that they have inside goes to you. You breathe in that little particle or that little droplet of mucus or whatever, and it gets to your nose or throat, and that virus has an attachment to that cell. It lands like a landing dock. And that triggers the cell to absorb it. So the virus gets in the cell and then starts growing. That's what would cause this. The virus growing inside the cells of your throat causes this kind of discomfort and scratchy throat and even sore throat. Now, the rhinovirus causes the cell to make a long chain of a protein, and that's broken into 4 proteins. 3 of the proteins are sections that make the capsid, the little bungalow that the virus, the RNA lives in. And actually, it's very elegant. The shape of the rhinovirus is a 20-sided structure. If you take a triangle, equilateral triangle, and put 5 of them together, that's 5 triangles, and you make 4 of those, it all fits together. Okay. Now, your body has received this infection. It's going in, it's going to start making it. How does your body react? The immune system consists of white blood cells, lymphocytes, macrophages, cells that swallow other things. And when a disturbance occurs, there is a trigger of inflammation. The histamine in some of the white blood cells is going to trigger the widening, the vasodilation of little capillaries, and water is going to start pouring out into the tissue, causing congestion. The histamine also causes that itching and that kind of trigger to sneeze. The epithelial cells and the white blood cells make little hormone-like substances called cytokines that give signals. And one of the signals it gives is for white blood cells to come in. It stimulates mucus cells to produce mucus. And it gives you that kind of tired feeling and achy feeling. And there are at least 2 of those that we know that are triggered with a cold. And they're kind of directing the inflammation response. Okay. Another kind of virus is called herpes simplex virus. That causes fever blisters, cold sores, the things you get on your lips when you get a cold or at the end of the flu. That is a DNA virus, which is very interesting. Once you get it, it stays in the body throughout your life. And in terms of cold sores, the herpes simplex virus lives in the sensory nerves of your face. Now, the face nerves, the sensory nerves, are through the trigeminal nerve that kind of goes to lips and your cheeks and stuff like that. Okay. This dormant virus will be activated from time to time. And one of the times it is when you get a cold or when you get the flu. Now, in modern medicine, we have the bad guys, the germs, the viruses, and we have to block them, get rid of them, prevent them from attacking us, wash our hands, cover our mouth, don't let it spread. That's all true. However, we really haven't studied what makes a person susceptible to a virus infection. In the balance of nature, we have the savanna of Africa with antelopes eating the grass, and the lions eat the antelopes. It's the food chain. What purpose, why does nature have viruses? What do they do? It seems to me that just like bacteria, when a tree is dead in the forest and lightning strikes, it falls down and it's dead, what happens? It is the germs come, the worms and the bugs and the termites, and they eat the dead material. It's consuming the waste. It's breaking down so that eventually the tree becomes topsoil and new plants can grow. Well, in a sense, the virus serves similar function in the body. When you have a virus entering your system, one person will get a cold and maybe we'll have a couple of colds a year, and another person doesn't seem to get colds. Why? We don't know. We don't know that exactly. But Arnold Ehret, who was a researcher, kind of doctor. Well, he was Arnold Ehret came up with a mucusless diet healing system. I mentioned him on a previous lecture. Now, he felt that eating heavy foods like cheese and bread cause mucus. And that's true. If you eat a lot of that, you get more mucus. He thought that having fruits and vegetables and not so much of the mucus foods healed disease. And that was true too. A person can lose weight and cleanse the body if they concentrate on fruits and vegetables. The only problem is that the foods like grains and cheese and milk and meat are very important for you. So you have to kind of know the right amount that your body needs. When you have an overload of sweets, do you get more susceptible to having a cold? I think the answer is yes. traditionally after Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's holidays, we get our colds in January. In my observation, um, uh, getting a cold is associated with having a lot of sweets. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you look at the symptoms and you look what the body is doing in response to the virus, the body is not making antibodies right away to kill the virus. It is allowing the virus to grow and pouring out mucus. Well, what's mucus consist of? Why that? Mucus happens to be a protein coated with sugars. It's a mucopolysaccharide. It's a proteoglycan. And if we have a lot of sweets and stuff in our system, I don't know. Maybe the sinuses are more susceptible. Maybe the receptors to the virus are more plentiful. I don't know. We have to check that out. Now, as far as practice is concerned, modern medicine will give you a decongestant, to block the flow. They sometimes recommend zinc acetate to kind of shorten the duration of a cold. And zinc apparently has a way of blocking the attachment of the rhinovirus to the nasal mucosa. And allegedly, if you take that, you have 1 day less symptoms of a cold. My approach would be to allow the cold to run its course. And we can shorten the course of a cold by allowing the body to accelerate the healing process. Well, how do we do that? When you come down with a cold and your body starts pouring out mucus, we're going to stop eating foods that produce mucus. So we're going to eat fruits and vegetables, maybe a vegetable soup broth, homemade vegetable soup. We could fast and have water with lemon and honey or maple syrup, kind of a lemonade drink, and rest. And get your boxes of Kleenex, and a bad cold, maybe 3 boxes of Kleenex in a couple of days. When that happens, your body is gets the energy and the focus to just keep pouring it out until that load of mucus is out. When the virus has run its course, the body, the turning point when you know you're getting better is when the runny mucus stops and the mucus thickens. It gets yellow and the thick mucus comes out from your cough or blowing from your nose. What's happening there is I think the dead mucus cells and the debris from all this inflammation finally clears, and the virus has no more food. There's no more mucus to release, okay? And when that happens, you get better. On the other hand, if we try to fight the cold and suppress it with, medicines, decongestants, and stuff like that, we will feel better, But a couple of weeks later, the cold comes back because you haven't finished the job. The body is still full of waste. It's not the reason for the cold to clean it out has not been met. You have paid a partial payment, but you still owe the rest of the rent, so to speak. Okay. In my experience, when I've been disciplined and followed the whole food plant-based diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables and little processed foods, I will be among people that have had colds, and the worst that happens is maybe I get a little cold sore from that, but I don't get sick with a cold. I've been exposed to it. I probably have it. And the fact that some immune response has occurred tells me that I have gone through it, but I didn't get a mucus pouring out cold. On the times that I have gotten that, I had gone off my diet. We went on a trip and you ate at the Denny's and whatever, and you had treats and you made this and that. And then when you get home, boom, you get a cold. In self-reliant medicine, I want you to be a scientist. I want you to be a medical research associate. So I'm going to challenge you to make a study of your own experience with a cold. When's the last time you had a cold? If you get a cold next time, stop, think, why did I get this cold at this time? Yes, there was somebody who had the virus that gave it to me. It's contagious. Yes, yes, yes. But what made me more susceptible? And then in my experience, it's a lot of sweets. Maybe it's different in your experience. This is what we need to find out. And I want you to take a challenge to try to change your life so that you are less susceptible to colds and you don't have to get a summer cold and a winter cold and a whatever. It is somewhat similar to allergies. The pollen in the spring triggers the hay fever, but the pollen is not the problem, it's the trigger, but the reason for the hay fever is the load of mucus material in your body already that has been triggered. Similarly with a cold, you have a load of waste in your system that needs to come out, and sooner or later you catch up with that virus that triggers it. Now, there are so many different genetic strains of virus causing colds that they can't make a vaccine to do that. If we have a vaccine for a particular virus, like smallpox or whatever, that puts a defense system in your system to recognize and block the virus growth, which is a good thing and can prevent a serious disease or like polio. But it doesn't remove the waste that's building up that makes you susceptible to that particular viral infection. What's interesting about viruses is that there are many different viruses that have an attachment to different parts of your body. The Nile virus or the equine encephalitis virus from mosquitoes in South America, the viruses that cause cervical cancer and warts. There are various viruses that gravitate to different parts of the body. One of the viruses is hepatitis. The hepatitis from eating uncooked clams and stuff like that can cause acute hepatitis. And then the serum hepatitis type B is a virus that gravitates to your liver and can give a chronic smoldering infection that can last for a long time. In summary, viruses are part of nature. Many times we think of them as bad because they can cause bad diseases or inconvenient things like colds and coughs and bronchitis. But if we understand what they do and what makes us susceptible, we have the power to take steps individually to reduce the chances that an infection with that virus will be harmful, just like children are much better in terms of symptoms of viruses than older adults. Like COVID doesn't really damage children, but an older person is susceptible. Okay, that concludes our discussion of viruses for today. Next time, we're going to talk about bacterial infections.